Okie doke, so what I wanted to talk to you about today, I just had a lovely steak and I'm having some Cabernet Shiraz here. It's a 2019, it's from Langhorne Creek, other side of Australia. Beautiful, there's something about this region called Langhorne Creek. I'll show you here, Langhorne Creek. It's a region where they mostly grow just wine. They don't have cellar doors. I don't know what it is. It's something about the terroir there. I don't know whether it's the volcanic soil or the minerals. Anything from that region is absolutely beautiful. There's even grape varieties that I don't even drink. I'm not a big Sauvignon Blanc drinker. And I've had a Sauvignon Blanc there, or Pinot Grigio, or Rosé, or Shiraz. I'm not a big Shiraz fan, but now I've come back to Shiraz. Because in Australia, we sometimes have single varieties, or just two varieties, Cabernet Shiraz. We don't have laws, we don't have any restrictions we need to keep to. And I just found anything that came from that region was incredible. So it must be the soil, I don't know. So yeah, Langhorne Creek, big favourite region of mine. I'll drink anything from that region, no matter what style it is. So this is from Red Deer. Okay, it's Australian, of course. Cabernet Shiraz, Langhorne Creek. It's a 2019. I find that if you're not a big Shiraz or Chardonnay drinker, they can be quite harsh when they're fresh. But if you drink them with a couple of years on them, you might actually enjoy them more. So it can be quite deceiving. Beautiful. 14% alcohol. I try and keep, if I can. A lot of sun in Australia produces a lot of sugar, which in turn produces a higher alcohol content. I try, if I can, get done ones that are 13 or 13.5 or 12% alcohol, or if they're made off season, 10% alcohol. It can be quite high. So you have to remember that if you're drinking something 13% alcohol more, if you're having more than one glass, probably shouldn't drive at all. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. So I wanted to talk to you today about film and TV and my favourite things on. They happen to all be on Netflix at the moment. So first thing I wanted to talk about was a TV series, Scandinavian TV series called Entrapped. Now, a lot of people sort of think, it's going to be, it's going to have subtitles, it's going to have, this or that. Like the beauty about Netflix or Stan or whatever, you can actually put it in your own language. I didn't watch this series on Netflix. It is available now though on Netflix. This is one of my favourite all-time, things to watch. It's a TV series, not that long. It's only I think it's only 6 episodes. When we were in lockdown in Australia, as you probably heard, we've got the worst lockdowns in the world. I'm in New South Wales, so it wasn't as bad as Victoria. They were locked down for like a year. But I remember even just being locked down, I didn't have, I don't think I had Netflix when we first started to get locked down, and I got some stuff from the library. You could still borrow stuff from the library. You could, reserve it through email or calling up. It was really funny. And then you had to book a time. You had to actually book a time to go pick up your DVD. So I actually watched this series on DVD, but it is now available on Netflix. And I went in Australia in our local library. That's a free service and you can borrow it for free. So it may be, if you're in Australia, it may be for free in your local library on DVD. It was just fantastic. I watched it and normally I like to read the subtitles because I like to hear, an actor in their native tongue. But if you're tired, you just you can put on the voice and it'll be dubbed in English. There's something about Scandinavians, they just know how to make a crime series. English know how to make a crime series, and some of the US make great crime series, but Scandinavian and Swedish crime series, they are just the best. I'm not even, I have no heritage from that area, so I'm not being biased. They make the best police and crime drama series. They really do. So it's called Entrapped. It's currently showing on Netflix. If you're in Australia or maybe in your own country, you can actually borrow it from the library. Basically, it's a story of like a little town, a snow town, and they've got their own little sort of local police force. And then, I don't want to give too much away. Something happens and it just turns the town upside down. Also turns people against each other. And there's things that are happening, sort of trafficking, human trafficking that sort of happened. And good people who have a good conscience and they're living in a happy, quiet town and they're quite happy to live there, and everything's just turned upside down. And the tension is just incredible. I couldn't stop watching. I think I watched it over like 2 days. Those small amount of episodes. You must watch this. It's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. And even if you are a famous actor or a famous, screenwriter or director, you actually really appreciate the intelligence in this series. It'll really be up your alley. It really will. So, Entrapped, available now on Netflix, Scandinavian. If you're too tired to read the subtitles, just do the dub over in English. Incredible. So that's, if you like series, that's my pick for the series. The next thing that I wanted to choose is a comedy, and it's the Chris Rock Netflix comedy special. I think he filmed it in Boston. I just watched that on a whim. And like, I'm a big fan of his, and I'm a big fan of Will Smith. As an Australian, I don't know the full thing that happened like between them, but it was actually quite interesting. There was just recently we had the Academy Awards on TV, and I was really thrilled to see some of the people that won. And I didn't know the whole thing about it. It's like a lot of Australians trying to avoid all that. We got so much crap happening in our own country that we sometimes don't know the full story that's happening. And not that that's relevant, but it was just so funny. Like, it was just so funny because it also incorporated Chris Rock being an American, and America's not part of the Commonwealth. For a long time. As an Australian, we're part of the Commonwealth. We're part of the sort of the extended family of England, and it was actually good to see him sort of make they're just jokes, make a few jokes about the royal family, and it's comedy. I get it. I did a stand-up comedy course once 20, 30 years ago. I just did it for fun, and mine was terrible. Mine was really bad. Like, I really made fun of people, made a lot of like jokes, dirty jokes and stuff like that. And it's you gotta laugh at these things. And the way that Chris Rock does it, he's not doing it sort of personally. And I just laughed my head off for the whole hour. Like, I really needed that. And like, I'm not a big Chris Rock fan. Like, I think I've seen him in a few like movies and stuff like that. And I just thought, I need to laugh. I'm sick of all this serious stuff. So I thought, I was flicking through Netflix and I found this comedy, and it's great. It's just over an hour. Watch this. This is just funny. If you just finished your dinner, it's a lovely thing to watch. It's not offensive. He makes fun of himself. He makes fun of black people, he makes fun of white people. And the way he does it, it's so clever. You're not offended. And you should never be offended of comedy anyway. Like, it's just comedy. It's made, life is so stressful. Never get offended by what anyone says. If you're offended, just don't watch that comic anymore. Life is so stressful with all the crap that we're putting on. You've got to be able to laugh at yourself. And that's one thing that Australians can do. They can laugh at themselves. And that's a wonderful gift that the Irish gave this nation. So that's where we get our dark humour from. And sometimes people can take Australians the wrong way, but we can certainly understand dark comedy. And we don't get offended. You know, if we are slightly offended, we won't watch that comedian anymore. But we get it. You know, you've got to be able to laugh at yourself. So Chris Rock does it really well. So I totally recommend watching his comedy special on Netflix. It's not too long. You can watch it after you've had your dinner, and it will really make you smile, because he just does it in a way it's funny, like it's taking the cheek out of things. So yeah, that is my comedy special that I would definitely recommend. And the other one that I would recommend when it comes to film is a film called Skyline. It's American sci-fi. What's the actor's name? Let me just check what the actor's name is. No, so it's called Beyond Skyline with Frank Grillo. It's an actor that's not very familiar to me as an Australian, and Bojana Novakovic. I thought that she might have been Australian because it's a familiar name, but yeah, Frank Grillo, and I've seen him in a couple of Netflix films. He's fantastic, and Bojana Novakovic is in this. This is sci-fi, so you've got aliens coming down, and I really like how this, you know, it's actually a really great Netflix film. So they actually, let me just straighten this up. Yeah, so Beyond Skyline, not Skyline. There's a scene in here at the end that I had to watch, like I've watched it at least 10 or 20 times over and over. It's such a great scene. And I like how they didn't just keep it based in America. Something happened and they ended up in, I think, Vietnam, and then they were sort of getting with the locals, and they were sort of fighting these aliens. And I don't want to give too much away, but one of the humans ends up becoming an alien, and then after realizing that he's been turned into an alien, and then comes on to the side of the humans. It's just such a good storyline, and the acting is really good, and the action as well. So there's a little bit of military thing in there as well. We end up in an Asian country where they know how to fight, and they can do kung fu, and it's so believable. Like when they end up fighting the aliens, it's believable, because you know, a lot of different Asian cultures have incredible skill where they can fight, and be quite quick and swift. And anyway, I don't want to give too much away. It's such a great film. Even if you're not big on sci-fi, even if you're into action or just military, it's got a little bit of everything in there, and a bit of hope and drama, just an incredible story. I love sci-fi. There's some bad sci-fi, even like I've seen some bad sci-fi on Netflix. This one is really good. I really enjoyed it. It's got a combination of, I've seen a few familiar Australian actors in there, and some American actors, of course. So some Laotian and Vietnamese actors in there. So it's a really good mix. I don't know if they made that in Australia or not. We've got a few companies in Queensland, Universal Studios, where they make movies here. So yeah, Beyond Skyline is my movie recommendation for the day. It's a sci-fi, and that one I really enjoyed it. And then you've got the Entrapped. If you like TV series, great thing about TV series is, usually an episode is an hour or under an hour. Fantastic. and it's binge worthy as well. And comedy, Chris Rock comedy special. So they're my 3 tips. So yeah, enjoy.